Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be reacting to 12 scary PS2 horror games that time forgotten. So I'm I feel like I've heard of this channel. It's called Super Horror Bro. I don't really know much about the channel to be honest, but I feel like I heard the name somewhere before. But yeah, I recall I just wanted to react to this because it's about like old PS2 games that I probably found interesting in the past, or I probably played. I want to know if any games I own is on this because it would be wild if I own some of these. But anyway, let's just load. Let's just play. I don't want to ramble
The
on too long.
PlayStation 2 is the most popular game system ever produced, and with that popularity came a wealth of different games from every genre imaginable.
I find it hilarious. Silent Hill 3. That's my favorite Silent Hill. I was never one to be too into Silent Hill 2. But anyway, as I was saying, I find it funny that a lot of PS2 games I had more fun playing than like a lot of modern PS5, like PS4, PS5 games. I think I just like the older games more. Like I like the PS3 and the PS2 games more than like the PS4 and 5 games because I don't know. It feels like as soon as PS5 came out, all Sony cared about was making the graphics look good rather than make the games fun and playable. It's like they're basically making turds and then they're just throwing like diamonds on there on a turd. It's like, "Oh, cool, there's diamonds in there, but it's it's a fucking turd." The diamonds look nice, but they're all covered in shit. It's just shit. Anyway, I could go on about how I don't like a lot of. I don't like how so like the PlayStation is right now. Good consoles, good consoles. Don't get me wrong. Could make good games with them. It's just lately I haven't been impressed with like PlayStation or console gaming in general. But you know,
Some of the all-time
or
great horror
Western
games
games,
appeared on the PS2, including the
and that's a
debut of
whole other
titles
thing.
such as Fatal Frame,
Yeah,
Onimusha Warlords,
yeah,
and
yo, Onimusha. My favorite Onimusha was the third game, Onimusha 3. I have that. I have the PC version of that. I haven't started playing it really. I played a little bit of it, but I haven't really been playing it that much. But Onimusha, this is a series that needs to come back. Come on, Crapcom, bring it back. People want Onimusha. Also what happened to that Onimusha anime where you showed off? Where's the anime? I haven't heard back from that. Anyway, back to the video. So yeah, Onimusha, one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite series that Capcom made. It's just they fucking refused to make it after Dawn of Dreams because okay, so there were like four Onimusha games. There was Onimusha 1, Warlords. Here's Onimusha 2, Samurai's Destiny. Okay, wait, there was like five actually. And then between Onimusha 2 and 3 was Onimusha Blade Warriors, which was a Smash Brothers clone with all the Onimusha characters and enemies. Well, I actually it's not all of the enemies, it's just some of the more iconic enemies. And some of them weren't playable. Some of the enemies that did show up that were known, they were just bosses in the story mode. I still like that game though. And then there's Onimusha 3, which is my favorite one. And then Onimusha 4, Dawn of Dreams. I get it. They were trying to. I get why they changed the main character. It's supposed to be a different time period in Japan, but I just didn't care about any of those characters that you played as. Oh, look, he calls himself the Blue Demon. He's edgy and has fake horns he wears. Soki is his actual name. Then he has love interest that I have no context over. Maybe they were actual people in like the Japanese history of that time. I don't know. And then there was some foreigner guy named Roberto, which I guess he's kind of cool. He's like different than the others because he's not Japanese. And then Tenkai. I mean, well, he's the only cool one because that's just Samanosuke from Onimusha 1 and 3, the main character, in disguise. He's like a returning protagonist, except he's not. The game's not about him. It's about like Soki, the main player character. I fucking hate Soki. I don't know. I just don't like Dawn of Dreams. Unpopular opinion. I think that was the worst Onimusha game. 1, 2, and 3 were good. Blade Warriors. I liked it, but I will say Dawn of Dreams was at least better than Blade Warriors. Anyway, let's continue.
Silent Hill 2 and 3. But for many horror games that appeared
That
on
Tommy
this legendary
Wiseau.
console, that
I
time
did
was
not hit her.
forgotten,
It's not true. It's
hidden
bull.
gems
Tommy
within
Wiseau
the
should have been the
genre.
protagonist of
In
Silent
this
Hill
video,
4.
we take a
Silent Hill 4 was called Silent Hill 4 The Room. Come on! It writes itself. Silent Hill 4 The Room. I know I recorded a video on Silent Hill 4. Come on! That thumbnail had Tommy Wiseau in it.
look at 12 PS2 horror games that's time for
Or
God.
did I not use that thumbnail? I can't remember. It's been a while since I played it. I will continue it at some point. It's just I'm not in the mood.
Haunting Ground was released for the PS2 in 2005.
Okay, so I have a rare horror game that this game's a spiritual successor to. I own. It's a PS2 game. I'm not gonna say which one it is. You probably know which one I'm talking about because I have mentioned the game before. But yeah, Haunting Ground's a spiritual successor to a game I've played. I want to know if that game's on this list.
We play as a teenager called Fiona, who after being involved in a car accident, mysteriously awakens in a castle dungeon.
Okay, now keep in mind I never played this game, but the story's kind of fucked up from what I heard. Okay, so this game, it's like playing single player Dead by Daylight. You run and hide from killers, and each killer has like different goals. Like I know like one killer is like a woman and she's not human. She's like a machine or something or whatever. She looks human, but she wants to be a real human lady, and what is happening is she's chasing the main character because she wants to steal her uterus so she could be a real woman. Yeah. That's that killer's motive in this game. And then I know a few other killers want to just impregnate this character, and it's kind of fucked up and scary.
Fiona eventually manages to break free of her prison and befriends a dog called Huey.
Oh yeah, you have a dog backing you up.
Huey? So
Wait, isn't the
cute.
dog on Resident Evil 4 named Huey?
This is a survival horror game produced by Capcom, the studio behind hit horror classics such as Resident Evil. And while Haunting Ground didn't live up to the high expectations set by its predecessors, it did.
You know, I kind of want them to re-release this because this game's expensive to buy on like online. Like, if you're trying to collect like old rare games, this game costs a lot. Like, the game this is a spiritual successor to, I managed to find cheap. Well, it wasn't that cheap, but you know, I would love to try this game. I'm being real. This game sounds fun because I played what the game that came out before this was, what it's a spiritual successor to, because the same people made the Haunting Ground, made the game I'm talking about, and it's kind of unique. I kind of like it. I like what the deal is with this game. Like there's no horror games like this because every horror game is just a first-person horror game trying to cash in on like PT. At least the ones I've been seeing. Well, Actually, maybe Alien Isolation has some similarities to this, because isn't it like similar? You're like running and hiding from the alien. I need to try Alien Isolation at some point.
It managed
It's
to
just
find
the
a
AI's
cult
like all
following
crazy, I heard,
thanks
with
to its unique
the
gameplay.
alien.
Rather than fight enemies head-on, Fiona must use stealth to
Well, in
avoid
Alien
them.
Isolation, you could
When
fight
she
at
does
least.
engage in combat, it is either done through the use of environmental hazards, or more commonly, by commanding her faithful companion Huey to attack while she makes her getaway. The game even took control away from
Yeah, is that
players
the
at
robot
times
lady?
if Fiona became too stressed out, causing her to run off in whatever direction she pleased. While many of these ideas were indeed unique, they also made for a frustrating experience, which led to most people
Apologies
forgetting
for
about
background
this
noises.
game
I
over
was
time.
drinking my drink I have with me. It's tea.
Cold Fear is a third-person horror action game set aboard a Russian whaler ship full of zombified crew,
Oh,
mutated
Cold
by
Fear.
a parasite known as the exocell. In order to kill these parasites, the
Oh my god, the video isn't pausing. Oh, Cold Fear. Hey, Ubisoft, you remember that time you made an interesting horror game because you were inspired by Resident Evil? Whatever happened to that? Back when you actually made unique games, like different games? You know, you remember the OG Splinter Cell? The OG Ghost Recon? Cold Fear would have been a cool game you could have made into a horror series. Instead, now we get the bullshit we have now. Hey guys, you like Watch Dogs? I don't. Well, I can't say that. I did enjoy the first Watch Dogs. I was given Watch Dogs Legion. I might try at one point. I don't really care for Watch Dogs 2 or Watch Dogs in general. And then, and don't even get me started on Assassin's Creed, but Ubisoft, can you, like, sell Cold Fear to someone else? Can someone else own it so they can make a spin-off of that game? Or something? Please? Anyway.
Be destroyed, or they will reanimate.
Do they still own this
We
game's
assume the role of
copyright?
Coast
Because they
Guard
don't
Tom
use this
Hansen,
game.
who becomes stranded and separated from his team, sent in to investigate.
If I were
the
rich,
ship
I would
after
buy
radio
this
contact
this
was
game's
lost.
title and make a
The
bunch of
premise
spin-offs.
and survival horror gameplay are fairly by
We'll make
the
a bunch of
numbers,
sequels
but the
and-
early hours of Cold Fear and its
I don't
open
know.
setting make for a very distinctive and entertaining horror game full of creepy moments. Aiming is often
I don't know,
difficult as the
buying a
ship
company's
constantly
IP costs a
sways and
lot.
bows on the ocean waves. Things even get so choppy that the player can be thrown overboard if they aren't careful. At the time, Cold Fear was unfairly compared to Resident Evil 4, one of
I mean, it wasn't. To be fair, it was inspired by Resident Evil. It clearly was. But... well, Resident Evil 4 is probably the reason why this game didn't get much recognition, and Ubisoft never tried to make a horror game again, and then they got rid of most of their, like, developers, and with whoever the fuck is making the shit now.
the best action games of all time, and failing to look past this, many players ignored it and the game was a commercial flop.
Yeah, hey, The Suffering! I played this game before.
After blacking out, central protagonist Torque finds his wife and 2 children have been murdered and soon is arrested and charged with the crime.
I recall this game's kind of fucked up, like the story and whatnot. It was a decent horror game. I just remembered it was like some people liked it, some people didn't, but like I know this game had like 2 games and they were probably gonna make a 3rd one at one point. Or maybe there were plans to, I can't remember, but I remember this game wasn't that bad. Like I think I played the demo to the 2nd one and I liked what I saw. It was kind of fun. I did play the 1st one a long time ago because like a long time ago there was like a giveaway where they were giving The Suffering for free on computer. Again, it was on a really old laptop I had. Probably it was the same laptop that I had Silent Hill 4 on. And then like my data got erased because that laptop broke. It broke. I will tell you one thing. Never buy if you can't get desktop and you really want to have a computer, like, so you're getting a laptop, do not get the laptops at Walmart. I remember all that bullshit that guy said. He said, "Oh yeah, if you want to play games, buy this one." And that laptop was not made for gaming. It was shit. Complete, total garbage. Anyway, continuing. But yeah, I've played this before.
Death row, held captive in the depths of an island prison. It is within this hellhole that the story of the suffering takes place. Upon entering the prison cell...
So I recall this game. There's like some weird shit that happens in this game, and you could also make decisions to, like, good and evil decisions. Like, you could be a good guy or a bad guy. Like you have a choice to either murder someone or not murder. Like, he hears voices in his head. Like the one usually telling him to make good decisions is the voice of his wife. The bad decisions, I believe the voice in his head is just some dude. And you usually have choices, and it usually affects your ending. Also, I think in the second game he could turn into like a mutant monster, which is part of the evil voice in his head.
An earthquake rocks the island,
like, there's demons in this.
Demonic monsters throughout the penitentiary. All of these monsters seem to be based on forms of execution, from the lethal injection right up to the electric chair.
Yeah, is it kind of like Silent Hill-ish? Like, the monsters are like a thing. Well, in Silent Hill 2 to be specific, the nurses are sexy because in Silent Hill 2, the monsters were created from his mind, and the nurses look like how they do because James's wife was sick and he was frustrated and wanted to bang, I guess. Just to put it in one word, yeah, he was frustrated, and his wife was like, oh, in the hospital all the time, and yeah. And just put that together with the nurses looking like that. And a lot of the monsters are like all weird like that. It's, yeah, pent up frustration, let's just say. And then wasn't Pyramid Head, like, I forgot what Pyramid Head represented for the protagonist in 2. It was something like that, and then they tried to make it, oh no, it's just the executioner in Homecoming. Which Homecoming, I like to pretend, is not canon.
Must now battle his way out of the prison, all while haunted by the cries of his late family. The Suffering has some genuinely scary moments and twisted creature designs. It even allowed players to switch between third and first person action.
Like, there's like a lot of psychological stuff. Like, the demon design is,
when it first
like
launched.
they said, execution
the story of Talk's
stuff.
Past is drip fed via flashbacks during gameplay, and this made for an immersive experience which kept players on their toes, waiting for the next memory to take them by surprise as they explored Talk's nightmare.
Oh, I played this.
Kuon originated.
Okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but From Software, before they made a bunch of Souls games, well, before they made like the Souls likes, like they invented a genre of games. This was their horror game they made, and from what I hear, it's actually really good. It's a good horror game. It's extremely rare, so it's gonna cost a fortune if you want to buy a physical copy, or you could emulate it. I've only experienced it through emulation because I cannot afford this game. It's like a few thousands, I heard. Well, it probably gone up now because it's such a rare horror game, and it was made by From Software. And clearly some of the inspirations were taken from, like, from their Souls games were taken from this game. Personally, I think From Software should, like, re-release this game. One, like, if it would probably decrease the value, like the cost of buying a physical copy of this, because it's absurdly high priced to buy this game. Well, I think there might be some deals you could find. It's just a disc alone. But I kind of wish From Software would re-release this game. I've only ever experienced it through emulation, and the emulation was not stable. It ran like ass. Anyway, continuing. A lot of people don't know
developer
about this horror game,
who would later go on to become responsible for the successful modern game series Dark Souls. While most of From's games contained horror themes, Kuon was a full-blown horror experience from start to finish. The game was divided into 3 chapters. Yin,
it has a lot of body horror in it.
Kuon. Each chapter featured a different character to control, with the story eventually tying all 3 together by its end.
Up monster
and each
designs.
Of these storylines focused on exploring the ancient Japanese horror known as Kaiden. Players explored a Kyoto mansion and the neighboring temple by night.
Damn, also like the setting was just so unique. I never seen a horror game in this setting, like an old Japan, like a medieval Japan or whatever, feudal Japan, wherever you call it. I never seen a horror game in this setting, like in this like old horror type, like the fixed camera angles and all that. Like I want a horror game like that. Like
encountering all manner of hideous.
I would love to play this game. I kind of want a re-release though.
Mythology. The creature design was often built around body horror concepts and made for some frightening sights. Oof. To combat these terrors, players were given access to both melee and magic abilities. Sometimes we gain the ability to summon creatures who serve as bodyguards as we explore the temple grounds.
That depended on who you were playing as, because when you start out, there's one person that mainly used magic, so like they had more summons, and then one person, the other character, she had like a sword and like she could get magic attacks also. Then there was a third character you unlocked after you cleared the game. I forgot what their deal was.
Kuon certainly tried to be original in its concept and execution, however, not everything quite worked, and this made for a scary but often uneven game which has largely been forgotten.
It was such a good game though. Okay, I feel like I heard of this.
It was a popular science fiction show during the 1990s and beyond, however few people remember the spin-off games based upon it. One of the best.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be honest though, I probably wouldn't have played this because while I had family that did like the X-Files, I would have just assumed this game was bad because it's a game based off of a TV show. It's kind of like when you see a video game based off of movies and you'll just immediately go, "Oh, this looks bad." Because most video games that were based off of Hollywood movies were awful. Very awful. Like, very rarely we got a good video game adaptation of a movie. I mean, to be fair, though, I do like that Wolverine game. That was, like, the only good movie game I ever played. There are probably more that are decent, but this one right here, now that I actually see the gameplay, it kind of reminds me of old horror games, so who knows, maybe one day I'll try it.
Better games based on the X-Files was Resist or Serve, which launched for the PS2 back in 2004, a few years after the show's original run ended. Just like the show, we take on the role of 2 FBI agents, Mulder and Scully, as they investigate several paranormal goings-on within the...
No, I kind of want to watch the X-Files now. I kind of want to watch it. Like, I always liked like the whole alien stuff going on in the background. Well, it wasn't the background, but yeah, like, I had family who used to always watch this show. Me being a child, I just wasn't that into it, but like now, in the present as an adult, I would probably be so into it.
The town of Red Falls, Colorado. What made this such a great adaptation of the original X-Files show was the way the game actually expanded on events set within it. The timeline of the game is divided into 3 chapters, which take place between the 2nd and 3rd episode of the 7th season. It also featured the voices of the original cast.
And the people of Red Falls believe that Mandy and Caitlin Winslow are using black magic to, what, raise the dead and create killer zombies?
Kids today, huh?
The game took on an old-school approach to survival horror, with fixed camera angles to display.
I want more horror games like this. Like the old classic horror games. Because, I mean, I will say at least, like the Silent Hill 2 remake kind of went the RE2 remake route, and it's not bad. I'm not against it. It's actually went okay. Pretty decent, to be honest.
The action.
Sorry, I thought I heard
many
noises.
elements of Resist or Surf were pretty by the numbers, solving puzzles, fighting bosses, and the like, it did have a neat flashlight mechanic where the agents could use said light to locate objects around the environment as well as stunning enemies to
Wait,
boot.
so are these like zombies in that game? Extermination, what is this?
Published by Sony themselves, Extermination was one of the first horror games to appear on the PS2, but even for its time, it was
Okay, I've never heard of this game. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't know what this game is. So, I'm learning something today.
criminally overlooked. In it, players stepped into the boots of character Dennis Riley, who heads up a task force of soldiers
US
sent
Marines.
to a military base in Antarctica to investigate a distress call.
Sounds like
they
The
discover
Thing.
a deadly virus has overrun the facility, transforming its inhabitants into bloodthirsty mutants. Extermination featured a number of interesting gameplay concepts.
Okay, this reminds me of
including
Resident
an
Evil 5.
infection rate meter, which kept track of the player's infection level. If this becomes too high, then our health would drop until we found a medical station and vaccine to temporarily cure Dennis's ailments. The cold tundra surrounding the base also had an effect on Dennis as he explores, as we must keep warm to survive. Due to these brutal gameplay designs, Extermination was a very hard game to complete. However, it did feature a creepy atmosphere,
I don't like easy
novel
games.
game design, and a
unless it's like a...
customization
Well, it depends on the game,
system.
but
For
I
those
prefer
reasons,
difficult
it
games.
remains a cult classic in the horror community.
Hey, I have this game.
Probably one of the scariest games available.
I don't have the physical copy. I bought it digitally on PS4, and I could also play it on my PS5.
Available for the PlayStation 2, Forbidden Siren was a creation from the mind of original Silent Hill director Keiichiro Toyama. Siren...
You know what game I want to play? What was that one? It's the Siren that was released on PS3. Siren Blood Curse. Is that what it was called? Anyway, but yeah, like, so... I was currently playing this off camera, and I'm stuck on an area. I am, like, stuck. It's an area where you have to play as a hunter with a gun, and the aiming is ass. Like, the controls for him is ass. Because in Forbidden Siren, you play as different characters in different chapters. Like, you switch between characters, and their stories take place at different times. And I'm currently playing as an older guy that has a rifle. He's like a hunter. But like his whole gimmick is you could aim and use a gun, but it's just really ass and it's hard to aim. Like the controls are inverted, and like when you it's like in Resident Evil, you walk around with his gun and then you press like R1 or something to aim, but then it goes in first person view and the controls are inverted, and I don't use inverted controls. What the fuck? And not only that, like it's like hard to fight some of the enemies because some of them, the monsters can see you in through the fog.
Is a stealth
I mean,
horror
it's a whole
game
thing.
where we take control of several different characters as they explore the haunted village of
Good game,
Haneda,
though. It's kind of
Japan.
freaky.
What separated Siren from other
I want to play
paranormal
Blood Curse,
survival
though.
horror games of its time was the sight ability given to the player. By using this sight power,
Yeah, also
we
you
can
could
jack
see
into
through-
the minds of nearby enemies to see
Yeah.
where they are on the map in relation to our own character.
You could see through the
and
enemy's eyes.
the direction they are looking.
So you
This
could
provides
take
us with some
advantage of that
genuinely
and
unsettling
avoid it.
moments, but is also essential to successfully navigating the terrain unnoticed. There's nothing quite like seeing through the enemy's eyes as they chase us down. Perhaps the most unnerving element of Forbidden Siren was the method in which facial animation was achieved. Real faces were superimposed onto the character models in place
Yeah,
of
it looked weird to
traditional
me.
polygon animation methods, which made for some incredibly creepy and unnervingly realistic looking cutscenes that never felt quite right.
Yeah, that's just the whole facing. Ghost
Another
Hunter?
horror game from Sony, Ghost Hunter was a surprisingly advanced game for its day, featuring state-of-the-art visuals and high-end production values.
I've never heard of this
It
game.
wasn't as scary as some of the other games on this rundown, but then again, it wasn't really meant to be, taking a far more light-hearted approach to its over-the-top story of a detective who inadvertently releases a lab full of imprisoned.
Wait, so if it's lighthearted, is it like more humorous then? Because I could get behind that. I'd like it sometimes when, like, while I like serious horror games that are really scary and stuff, this one he's saying was basically supposed to be less serious and spooky. Well, like it has some horror stuff, but it's like less serious, and it's. I just want to know, did it have like humorous moments? Because I would like that. I would very much appreciate it. Sometimes I like games that don't take themselves serious.
It is now up to the detective to hunt down and recapture all of these wandering spirits. He does this by travelling to several different ghost realms and
Luigi's
blasting
Mansion?
the malicious spirits into submission with a variety of weapons, before throwing out a capture grenade to trap them. It was kind of like
He
the
threw a
Ghost Hunter
Pokeball.
equivalent of Pokemon.
Right? Pokemon? Okay, I kind of want to try this. Gotta
Despite
catch
this
him
unique
all.
hook, Ghost Hunter never became the blockbuster hit its creators had hoped for.
Oh shit, okay, yeah, the video's lagging. Alright, hold on. I don't know, my internet's just being ass today. Like, I'll never understand what the deal is with it, but my internet's just being ass.
And is
Alright, come on. Maybe that'll work. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. Okay.
rarely mentioned years later.
Oh, Manhunt. I heard of this game.
Created by Rockstar
It's marked as a horror game, but it's not really. Well, I mean, it's horror, but it's not like your typical horror. You're not dealing with like monsters, demons, ghosts, zombies, the undead, mutants. Manhunt, you're an escaped convict, and you're in a place called Carcer City, which apparently Michael from GTA 5 was from. Which, wow, that's actually amazing because Carcer City and so Manhunt's connected to the Grand Theft Auto universe. I mean, they were both made by Rockstar, so of course they are. I mean, so is Bully. The game Bully's connected to GTA and Manhunt's universe. But Carcer City is a place ruled by like psychopaths. It's a bunch of gangs that are just psychopaths that murder everything that they come across. So it's kind of amazing that Michael from GTA 5 was able to survive there and live there. Like, holy shit. But anyway, Manhunt, you're dealing with a bunch of psychopaths, and it's a city full of psychopaths in Carcer City. Also, apparently in GTA 3, Carcer City's like not too far from I forgot what the place in GTA 3 was called. Liberty City. Yeah, it's not too far from Liberty City, Carcer City, apparently, according to the maps in the game.
Games, a studio most famous for the Grand Theft Auto series, Manhunt is a game
I used to
that
like
simply couldn't
GTA.
exist
I
these
stopped
days.
after
It
GTA
focused
4.
completely on performing sadistic and very violent execution kills.
Oh yeah. Also, the executions were pretty brutal. That they got this game got banned because, I mean, compared to games now, that's ridiculous. But apparently, back then they considered it. They considered the executions too realistic, even though it's not real. It's a video game, and it doesn't even look realistic. I mean, the games themselves. What they were talking about is what he does to the people he executes were too realistic. So, I mean, yeah, sure, it's fucked up, but compared to games now, we see more fucked up shit happen in video games. Like, if you play Outlast, you could literally get tortured and your fingers cut off. Just saying.
Which are secretly filmed by hidden cameras around the levels to make up footage for a snuff movie. A twisted filmmaker, known only as the director, pulls the strings from the safety of his off-site mansion. We take on the role of death row inmate James Earl Cash, who, after being sedated...
Oh yeah, also the main character, he's not really a good guy. He's kind of a psychopath. I mean... In like all the GTA games that came out around this time, all the main characters weren't good people. Like, let's see, you have GTA 3 Claude Speed. He doesn't say anything, and he's probably kind of crazy, and his whole goal of that entire game is to kill his ex-girlfriend. I mean, she was a psycho also. And then like the most normal girl, I think he shoots at the end, because she talks too much in the ending. Then Tommy Vercetti, well, yeah, he's Tommy Vercetti. He's a mobster, so yeah, of course. Then there's CJ. CJ is just a gangster, a straight up gangster. So yeah. So now this guy, I think he's like a serial killer or something. I don't know. He's not a good person either.
Wakes up in a random city full to the brim with the most...
He's just fighting for survival, but he's also a psychopath.
These gangs hunt the player through the grimy depths of this abandoned city, and the only way to escape is to act out the grotesque fantasies of the director. The atmosphere is oppressive and grim, and the unrelenting violence and increasingly bleak storyline make this a highly disturbing game that was very nearly banned upon its release. An even more controversial sequel came and went, but these days...
Oh yeah, Manhunt 2, I've played Manhunt 2, so when Manhunt 2 came out, they had a bunch of screwed up... They had a bunch of, like, really brutal executions, but then they censored it. Like, the animations were still there, and then the creators from Rockstar got all mad that people modded their games to make it uncensored. And they said, oh, just play it the way it was intended to be played, and... Everyone saw, so what you're saying is mod the game because it was originally intended to show the graphic violence. It was another case of censorship because Manhunt 1 was infamous. And then, like, Rockstar, like, they made all the stuff. It's just when the game came out, they ended up censoring it by making the camera just go away from the executions
Manhunt has largely
when the executions happen on screen.
Of gaming history.
Like they were censoring it. Hey, I played this.
The only two-player game on this list, Obscure allowed players to team up via co-op mode and experience its haunted...
I've played the sequel, actually. I just remembered. I've only played the sequel. I don't really like it. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably fun playing this on co-op, but like the sequel I played, it wasn't that great. Like, I always hear people talking about, like, who look at classic horror games saying they like this game. I didn't really like it, to be honest. It was kind of mid. Like, I wouldn't say it was god awful. Obviously it was like super cheesy and whatnot. It was like a cheesy American horror movie from, like, I don't know, 80s, 90s, like a really cheesy horror movie. But yeah, the game itself wasn't terrible, but nor was it good. It was mid. That's all I'll say. Not for everyone. Wasn't for me, really. I got bored of it.
Focused on a group of 5 students.
Of course, that was the sequel.
Exploring the grounds of Leafmore High, where strange and unexplainable occurrences are abound. Soon it is discovered that school members
Maybe
are
the
being
first one I'd like
transformed
more.
into monsters by the faculty. So of course it's up to our band of ragtag adventurers.
Oh yeah, the plot of it was like the school faculty were like the people that were creating the monsters or something like that. It was weird. Like the whole, like you played as like high school students, and the people, the villains were the faculty members. It was kind of funny. It was also really cheesy.
Obscure featured music that was very of its time, with popular bands including Sum 41 appearing on the soundtrack. It
Yeah,
wasn't
it's like
highly
early
acclaimed
2000s.
either, receiving mostly mixed review scores. Despite this, Obscure's mix of co-op gameplay, customizable weapons, and classic-era survival horror aesthetics allowed it to find a place
this is the
within
first one.
hearts of
This
horror
one doesn't
fans
look bad,
at
but
the
I
time.
remember playing Obscure 2 and it was kind of mid.
Based on the cult 80s horror movie
Okay, I had this game. It's abandonware, by the way. You could just download it for free. It's just getting it to run on your computer might be tricky. This game's not bad. It's just I haven't gotten to like the parts of the game yet where it opens up a bit more. But like, if you're a fan of the Thing movie, because this is a sequel to the original movie, because so the movie the second The Thing movie was actually a prequel to the original movie. That's all I'll say about that. But if you like The Thing, maybe check this out. You might either really like it or you'll really hate it, because apparently some people like this game, some people really hate it. Me, I don't think it's bad or good. Again, I think it's kind of mid.
from visionary
In my
director
opinion,
John
in my
Carpenter,
opinion.
The Thing was more than a simple video game capsule.
Like, I haven't reached
is, in
this
fact,
area.
one of the PlayStation 2's greatest horror games, although you wouldn't know it, as very few people seem to remember its existence. Following on from the events
Yeah, it's a
of the
sequel to
movie,
the first-
players assume the role
to the
of
original
rescue
movie.
team member Captain Blake, investigating both the Norwegian and US outposts
Also, they kill off the
ravaged by
surviving
the
members
alien
in the
virus.
beginning.
In this respect, The Thing acted as a video game sequel of sorts, clearing up the movie's ambiguous ending. For those who don't know, The Thing
Yeah, some people hate it because the ending of the original The Thing, the first movie, was supposed to be ambiguous. Like, is one of them the Thing or not? And the whole point of it is, you don't know. It's ambiguous. Maybe they aren't, maybe they are. That's the whole point. I think even the director said the point of the ending was to be ambiguous. Some people don't like this game because it clears up. It answers that, oh yeah, someone was the Thing at the end. And it kind of like, the game itself isn't terrible, but some people say it ruins the ending of the original movie.
is an alien life form capable of mimicking
Okay,
any
yeah, I've done
creature
this part.
by inhabiting their body and replacing it with an alien duplicate. This makes it very hard to know
It's
who
like,
has
damn it,
become
I
a
didn't
thing
want
and who is still
both of them
human.
to die.
The developers used this
To be
concept
the Thing.
to form an interesting gameplay mechanic known as the trust system. Just as it sounds, this trust system allowed players to monitor how
I was still in the beginning. I didn't get to this part where I had multiple characters.
suspicious their teammates
Well, a lot of
were them
characters.
as the game progressed. If your fellow soldiers felt you may be infected, they will start treating you differently, failing to carry out orders and eventually trying to kill you. Of course, it's not just our fellow humans that pose a threat. The alien itself takes on many different forms as it spreads throughout the two outposts,
Yeah.
and this led to many horrifying moments.
Okay, I've heard of this game. Rule of the Rose. So from what I know, a bit of the warning if he mentions what this game's about. This game deals with a lot of fucked up things. Like, this game's really fucked up. It has stuff. I'll just let him talk about it if he mentions it. But if you're interested in trying it, all I'll say is prepare yourself for some fucked up stuff that happens.
Another horror game that features a teenage girl and a canine companion to aid her on her journey, Rule of Rose received much criticism from the European press due to the controversial themes of adolescence it explored. In fact, in the UK, Rule of Rose was banned outright. It did launch in a limited capacity elsewhere,
I recall it got
but
banned
due to few
for
copies
untrue
releasing,
claims.
It is now almost impossible to track
But it still
one
fucked
down.
up the game.
The game was heavily inspired by both Silent Hill and dark fairy tales and folklore.
I kinda
It was
wanna
set
try
in
this
England
game,
during
but,
the year
also
1930 and featured a
kinda
19-year-old
don't.
named Jennifer who becomes trapped in an alternate dimension ruled by cruel and vicious young girls. It is now up to Jennifer to appease this hierarchy known as the Red Crayon Aristocrats by offering up sacrifices. Of course, eventually it is Jennifer that ends up next in line to be sacrificed, and events continue to become darker from there.
You
Its
end up,
legacy
you
makes
have to
it
kill the
one of most
children,
sought
Jesus
after
Christ.
PS2 horror experiences amongst hardcore fans, but for everyone else, it is simply another game that time forgot. And with that, we come to the end of today's
Oh, it didn't
video.
show the game
I
I-
hope you enjoyed it, and if you did,
Okay, yeah, so the game I was hoping it would show would be Clock Tower 3. Because a lot of people forgot about that game. I own that game. Like, I've mentioned it before, but I actually like that game. It's the, so, like, the first one on the list, Haunting Ground, this was a spiritual successor to Clock Tower 3. It was made by the same people, and
called Huey.
it's the mechanics were the same, essentially, except you would have a boss fight with at the end of each killer's story.
This is a survival horror game
level.
produced by Cap.
However, Clock Tower 3 did have, like, some fucked up death scenes. Well, technically they were already dead. It was just revisiting their memories on how... Because you run to ghost characters and you find out how they died. And you help them rest in peace by taking out the killer that killed them. Because there's, like, time travel stuff going on in this game and in Clock Tower 3. Anyway, if you liked Hunting Ground, go check out Clock Tower 3. Also, fun fact, Clock Tower 3... Clock Tower 3 was made when Capcom got rights to the Clock Tower series. And that was the only time they made a Clock Tower game. After that, after Clock Tower 3, they just didn't make any more, but people liked Clock Tower 3. Except for, like, big fans of the original Clock Tower games. They probably really hated it because the game played... Like, it had fixed camera angles and stuff. It's like kind of like a Capcom horror game. Which, in my opinion, yeah, that's the kind of horror I like. The horror games I like. But anyway. Well, I say that because I don't like point-and-click horror games. But anyway, yeah, this was 12 scary PS2 games that time forgot. If you enjoyed the video reaction, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.